All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. That is David Furones. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Yeah, doing all right. Friday appearance here. Yeah,
Slow
obviously
week,
thankful
slow
that.
week, nothing going on. Bye week, yes. Friday appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Usually these would be a little Thursday, later Thursday, checking on the injury report, preview a game. Had a nice night out last night. Just and thankful that this hurricane didn't really hit us too bad. We only got some tropical storm force winds in some parts, but also thoughts with everyone on the West Coast. I got family and friends out there who are just kind of recovering from all the damage that was done out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I checked in with a bunch of folks that I know over there, and everybody's all right and cleaning up and stuff like that. We got lucky down here. The only people that got walloped were a couple of the people that faced those tornadoes. That
Yeah,
was that was our storm. Those few tornadoes that landed, those four tornadoes that landed, that was our entire Milton pretty much, because the rest of the stuff was bullshit. It was just some wind, a couple of drop. We didn't even get a lot of rain.
no, I
So
was surprised.
all the moisture got sucked up to the north end of the storm. So it was great. We didn't even really get rain. I thought we would at least get rain and some wind. I didn't think we would get much because we were too far out. But we didn't even get the moisture, bro, which was, absolutely fantastic. But obviously our friends in the in West Coast, Central Florida, and the northern part of the coast too got walloped, because I've got friends all the way up in Flagler Beach,
Yeah, the way it.
and I was checking with Scotty up there, and they got their share of damage too up there. So yeah, because as it went through, then the waves were coming in on them, because obviously the wind was whipping around and then sending the waves into the east side of Florida. Man, that was bad, but we got lucky down here in a big time way. Um, People keep asking, but if they were going to fire Danny Crossman, it would have been on Sunday or Monday. So I don't know why people keep waiting for it. It's just kind of silly. They're not going to fire anybody, bro. And I know people want to fire Chris Greer, and they want to fire Mike McDaniel, and they want to fire Danny Crossman, and they want to trade to a Tagovailoa and all that kind of stuff. And they want, it just none of that is going to happen, bro.
Yeah, well, a lot of people with a lot of extreme opinions when the team is losing, and now if they would have gotten to 1-4 into this bye week, then I could have seen a lot of shit going down. But and even then, it's still kind of like outside of the real realm of possibility. I wouldn't see Mike McDaniel doing it mid-season that way during a time when Tua Tagovailoa is out missing games. Well, good for the Dolphins that they got that win and survived against New England. So you get some momentum going into the bye. You did a few things right, like you got Tyler Huntley operating the offense a little bit better. You got the run game going. You only have one more game without Tua. So you could get all these things building, and then now on the topic of special teams coordinator Danny Crossman, yeah, if it would have happened, it would have been done quickly, early in the week. You get the bye week plus the following one to either go with your assistant special teams coach Ronnie Bradford as the interim there, or I don't know if a move to the outside would have been really feasible just mid-season like that, but just tough sledding for that special teams group in New England. You have the missed field goal. You have the botched snap just rolled back there by Blake Ferguson. You have a block punt. Duke Riley misses the block to give it up. Just 6 days after he almost had another special teams blunder with a turnover, and that's one of your more reliable special teams players, and he's out there not prepared for some basic special teams plays. So for Danny Crossman, it was good that the team or his unit recovered in the second half, had a couple field goals that were good, got the team back into it. So then the touchdown was to go up by a score. But boy, I mean, you cannot leave points on the field the way they did in that first half.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, listen, they got lucky they were playing the sorry ass Patriots. That
Yeah,
allowed them to make
really.
all kinds of mistakes and still, overcome. The good thing is that at least the youngin looked a little bit more comfortable. and they ran more of an offense, especially in the second half when they stuck to the run in that drive. That to me is what I want to see more. And as I told you in the first game earlier this week, I need to see Huntley run more too. I think how you do, you got to find a way to go 3-3. You have to find a way to go 3-3. If you can do that, and by the way, that'll be good for McDaniel as a coach. That without Tua, he bounces back and wins the last two there to get to 3-3. That would be absolutely phenomenal for McDaniel. But I'd like to see the run game a little bit more.
Absolutely. I was just writing how this team really needs to stick to the run, both while Huntley is the quarterback and then also when Tua comes back. I mean, I think even that first game back, you don't want to put too much on his plate against Arizona, which, by the way, Arizona, that kind of gives me those memories of that 2020 game, his really first big breakout game. It was his second start that COVID year. He got the win against the Rams, not really doing much, but then he kind of dueled against Kyler Murray in that second game on the road. So this time it would be at home, but assuming he is back for that one, yes, I want to see the run game going. I want to see Tyler Huntley incorporated into the run game in this next game against the Colts when they play next week. I would love to see that. Like, just add another dimension. And I know it's only one game, so how much are you really adding for just like 1 week? But you have 2 weeks to prepare for it. So I would love to see if Mike McDaniel devises a lot of things to get him incorporated. And also, I mean, we've looked at this schedule and kind of worried about, well, you can't fall too far back early, and you got to get these wins against these weaker teams, which stands true regardless. But now looking toward the latter half, you sort of thought about those 2 games against the Jets. Well, now they just fired their coach. Granted, they can get to first place in the AFC East if they do win this week against the Bills, which is kind of shocking for a team that just fired its coach. It speaks more to the timing of that move too. But if they start a downhill decline, you have the 49ers who just won last night, but they started off at 2-3, got to 3-3 with a win against Seattle. Cleveland looks absolutely horrendous right now at 1-4 with Deshaun Watson and whatever he's doing over there. Whereas, that was a playoff team last year. You were thinking about them. The Rams, are they really all that tough? Now, they might get some of their guys back, their wide receivers back by the time the Dolphins play them. But a lot of those games that maybe you thought were a little bit tougher when the schedule first came out, maybe not so much. So that later half of the schedule still could be something that the Dolphins could take advantage of. But you definitely got to get to 3-3 at the point when Tua comes back and win that game against Indianapolis.
Man, that Watson contract, huh? He molests women and an NFL team. That's talent right there. Not the kind of talent most of us want to possess, but molesting women and an NFL team is exactly a real disturbing talent. Let's put it that way.
I'll tell you what, as much criticism as fans want to throw at the Dolphins, that dodged a huge bullet there.
Oh yeah.
Can we all even the ones who are most down on everything the Dolphins are doing? Can we all please agree the Dolphins dodged a major bullet avoiding that Deshaun Watson saga?
Hold on a second. We still have morons, and they chime in on the chat board or whatever, or on Twitter. Oh well, maybe we should have kept Brian Flores. The guy that didn't know Tua was his best quarterback on his own roster, and the guy that wanted a rapist as his quarterback. That guy. I know he's a good defensive coordinator, but then they go to the next extreme, like he actually was a good head coach or something, or good with people, or good with offense, or could build an offense, or even knows what a quarterback looks like. So, I still get those, and I'm sure you get those emails too about Brian Flores or on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, that's the guy that wanted Watson. Yeah, that guy.
Right. Yeah, that's the key distinction is a coach as a head coach and then as a coordinator. A lot of coaches are elite coordinators, and Brian Flores is proving that right now with the Vikings. I mean, the way he's got that defense playing. But a head coach has so many other job responsibilities to build a staff, to develop trust and in his players and develop them, build them up. So Mike McDaniel has proven to do a better job with his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa,
and staff. and staff.
And the way he's built a staff. I mean, I know now he's on his third defensive coordinator. He was stuck with his first one. Josh Boyer was a holdover. Vic Fangio was the guy he wanted, and then that didn't work out in over 1 year. Now he's got a good one in Anthony Weaver. Questions about Danny Crossman, who has also been a holdover, but still hasn't made a move. McDaniel is tying himself to Crossman when it comes to these special teams results because he has had chances to move on from him. But his offensive staff all been consistently there. They've been hit with some adversity to start this season, but you've seen a lot of the benefits of this offensive staff these first 2 years. And I do want to see how this offense comes together again once Tua comes back and that staff gets everyone together.
And by the way, you can see it there, but just in case if you're listening on the podcast, you can follow David on Twitter at @DavidFurones_. And by the way, the obvious is, we want to see them stick to the run. And as you mentioned, stick to the run also when Tua gets back. But you know what I'd also like to see? Stick to Jonnu Smith also, bitch. Come on, let's go. Use Jonnu Smith. Let's go. I saw him more in this last game. I want to see him more for Tyler Huntley, and I certainly want to see him more for Tua Tagovailoa. So besides the running game, give me more FIU Panther.
Was that bitch insertion it wasn't directed at anyone? It was just a general.
No, it's just one of those. It's
a general, right?
Yeah. It's what's that show? It's
like I'm Rick James, bitch, like Chappelle.
Like a Chappelle. It was just my Chappelle moment. That's all it is. It's just a Rick James, bitch.
Yeah,
that was just my Chappelle moment. That's all it was.
Give the ball to Jonnu Smith, bitch.
That's it. That's it. Get the ball to Jonnu, bitch. That's it. Just it's my Chappelle moment. That's all.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. We've been screaming it this whole time when Jonnu hasn't been getting the ball, and then you saw sort of not only the run game going, but just got the ball to Tyreek Hill, got the ball to Jalen Waddle, spread the ball, getting Jonnu Smith finally incorporated. I know we didn't see all the different variations of the package. I think they tried to give it to him on a run and it didn't work. And actually, Jonnu could have had more in that Patriots game. He got open over the top corner route, like 20, 25 yards down the field. Tyler Huntley threw it over the corner to get to him. And Jonnu just he didn't really lift too much. Ball went off his hands. I actually asked him about it. He said he was a couple plays earlier, he banged the knee against someone, and then he wasn't trusting it to lift so much. So maybe if he gets up a little higher, he's more comfortable on that catch. I mean, it still hit him in his hands, but I know he's not making any excuses for dropping it. But he could have had maybe a 100-yard game if he comes up with that one, and maybe another one somewhere.
And let me tell you again, the obvious is I want to see the run. The other thing is I want to see some more Jonnu. But when we go back to the run, I think what you saw this past week is Jalen Wright brings a different dimension besides speed, like Mostert and like Achane. And if you need more punishing runs and tougher yards, I think Jalen Wright is the guy that you're going to have to turn to a little bit more in that three-headed monster.
Yeah, I like that idea, that physicality that he brings. Because and Mostert can't, for a speedster, he can run with some physicality. He breaks tackles. We see that often from him, but he's not a true physical, bang him, into the line of scrimmage.
He's injury prone, bro, and he's injury prone. So, you really don't want to use him in those kind of situations. You want to use them on the first downs and second downs and keep him out in the wide open field where he can make people miss and get some big yards. But maybe on some of those tougher yards that you need to grind, I think I'm going with Tennessee's finest.
Yeah, especially with this team's short yardage struggles in the past. I mean, he's a guy that you can go to in those cases. And, Alec Ingold has provided someone, too, as the fullback that you can turn to, plunging in for that touchdown and other short yardage success that he's had earlier this season. So I like that. Yeah, bring some physical presence in between the tackles. And, you mentioned Raheem Mostert, 19 carries, first game back from a chest injury where he had, was it torn cartilage, the two SC joints that were hurt, or fractured cartilage, I should say. And I mean, 19 carries that first game back, because Devon Achane went down with a concussion. They put more on his plate. They were running the ball so much between him and Jalen Wright, who got 13 in his own right. But yeah, that was a big workload. So good for him that he made it through that game. Okay, he said he was feeling fine when we talked to him this bye week Tuesday media availability that we had in the locker room, and now he gets the bye weeks to sort of recover off of that. So good to see that from him. But yeah, you don't want to run him into the ground too, for sure. So yeah, I do like the idea of Jalen Wright, go 3-headed monster in there. That other dimension, because a lot of running back duos, more traditionally, it's the one power guy, one speedster. Whereas the Dolphins' top two guys, it's two speedsters,
right?
Which has worked well. It's the Dolphins have run well with the two last year. Sometimes Mostert missed a game, sometimes Achane missed a game. But when you have all three healthy, then yeah, I would love to see a situation where all of them get 10 to 12 carries and you are running the ball 30 plus time, kind of distributed somewhat evenly between the three.
Yeah, and listen, dare I say, because this kid's not big, not considered a big back, but he does run with power and anger, and that's Pacheco. And when I look at Wright, I say he's got a little Pacheco in him. And that's what I kind of like out of Wright, that he brings a little bit of a hammer that I don't think the other two guys have. And so since you didn't want to keep Chris Brooks, then this is the one guy that maybe can do that outside of Alec Ingold, obviously, who's a fullback. And he's going to be running into, because he's got a head like an anvil. So, yeah, it's different. But I just see a little Pacheco inside Wright, and I want to use it a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that probably speaks to some of the comfort in moving on from Chris Brooks too, not feeling like you need to, have him push through injury or use a roster spot or even practice squad in this case.
Yeah, how are they doing injury wise going into the bye?
So the guys that we had noticed beforehand. So what was it? All right, we were dealing with. Jalen Ramsey had that one issue pop up, and then he missed the practice coming back from the bye on Tuesday. So I think just he was still able to obviously play every snap in that game. So he was fine. Obviously, Devon Achane recovering from concussion. So bye week comes at a good time for him, because if he ends up on the same timeline as a Kendall Fuller or Teron Armstead, then he could presumably come back for this first game coming off the bye. Obviously, Javon Holland is going to have to miss this upcoming game. Maybe Jordan Poyer, but if not, they might be down two safeties, and it's Marcus May and Elijah Campbell, the duo that finished that Patriots win on the back end. So aside from that, those are some of the main ones. I think Malik Washington was still nursing his quadricep, but obviously he's able to go for the amount of snaps that he's playing. So David Long, I know we did not see him that Tuesday bye week practice, so he made it through the game fine with the hamstring, but still good to nurse that. So I think that's most of them. Kendall Fuller was another one. So we'll have to see what they officially list him as when they practice next week, because I'm sure he's receiving treatment for it, but he was able to come back into that Patriots game.
Your thoughts on the offensive line? What do you see from the guys?
I liked it a lot better this last game against New England. So you saw them able to run between the tackles. So even if some maybe all right, Pro Football Focus might not have graded, what was it, Liam, that they had pretty low this last game, but still, I mean, they were able to run sometimes in his direction, sometimes right behind him, and find success. They were able to run to the outside and get the outside zone going, the physical running between the tackles. So I really like the balance in the run game. So they were able to trust these linemen and run behind them. And then as long as Huntley is getting the ball out quick, and then Tua, when he comes back, and which we know he's comfortable in getting the ball out quickly, then it shouldn't pose too many problems if pass protection isn't elite, but still, obviously always room for improvement there. And whenever they do have longer developing plays, then it's nice to be able to give the quarterback that time and the receivers to time to get open.
Okay, I'm going to give you a chicken or the egg question. Okay, how many times have you seen Mike McDaniel do what he did late in that game and sticking to the run in his tenure? How many times has he done that?
How many times? Well,
You can't even do it with one hand, right?
yeah, right. I remember like
Let's just generalize, okay?
yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
generalize.
yeah. I'm
So
thinking of like the Chiefs game in Germany. They actually had success run game late. Remember they drove down. Yeah,
yeah, I can also think
but
of
it's
that
very
Buffalo.
few.
I can think of that Buffalo game 2 years ago that they were killing Buffalo, and then all of a sudden, eh,
Yeah,
and the Green Bay game where Tua suffered the concussion, they were killing him for 7 yards a carry.
yeah.
7 yards a carry. I believe the Bills was like 9 yards a carry for a stretch. Anyway, let me go back to the chicken or the egg question.
Sure.
Okay. Is it that the offensive line is much maligned, or is it that your coach is so pass happy that he puts the lineman in a really difficult position to constantly get beaten up and pass pro? In run blocking, you get to beat up on them. And offensive linemen love to call the run because they get in a groove and they're moving forward and they're hitting people instead of standing up and taking on the hits. And so you never really do it. And then we're all bitching and complaining about these guys. And then they go out and maybe it's just the Patriots, dude. Okay. Because I'm also not going to overlook that either. Maybe it's just that you were playing the Patriots. But why? But like I told you, you were doing it against Buffalo. You were doing it against Green Bay. You've done it other times and you don't stick with it. And so, how much of it is it the chicken or the egg thing? Like, well, okay, maybe they're not that good, but wait a minute. They also don't dedicate enough to it to kind of mix it up because if they can run the ball, run the ball more often. If you're in pass pro all the time, you become so much more predictable. So, what is it? The chicken or the egg? Which one is it here?
Yeah, and Big O, you talk to offensive linemen, and what's what they love to do is get downhill and run block. Right, that's every offensive lineman's favorite thing to do. You get to just like beat up on the person instead of stepping back. Instead of stepping back and pass pro, where you are reacting to what the defender is doing and all their pass rush moves. So, yeah, like let those guys go to work sometimes, especially when you're running it well. Now, this is also NFL offense in 2024, and it's a pass happy league. We know all of that, but
no, that's not true. All the teams that have success, like Kansas City,
oh yeah,
they use Pacheco.
right,
San Francisco lost their guy, and their replacement is the leading rusher in the NFL.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, 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 no. Green Bay, I'm going to go off his tree. His tree in Green Bay and San Francisco, they run the ball.
yeah,
They run the ball. So, yes, it's a pass happy league, but you got to use Marshall Faulk. And they did with the greatest show on turf. They used Marshall Faulk. So that's where, they use the tight ends too in his tree. And he doesn't use the tight ends, except for this past week that he wanted to start using the tight ends. So there are things that McDaniel doesn't do that's what leaves the question out. How much are you hurting your quarterback, whichever quarterback it is, by not running and dedicating to the run? How much are you hurting your quarterback or any quarterback by not using a more high percentage play like the tight end? How much are you hurting your quarterback by all quarterbacks by not using the running backs as a wide receiver? These are things that are implemented in the tree that McDaniel came from, and we see it in San Francisco and we see it in Green Bay every week, but we don't see it here. Weird.
yeah, absolutely. And at the heart of this offense is the outside zone first, right? Like running outside zone, so that then once you establish that, you get the defense to overcommit, and it opens up some cutback lanes, opens up some in between the tackles running. So, and then also opens up the pass game too, if you can start to really get the defense to overplay the run. So, Mike McDaniel sometimes he needs to remember that, and it's something that he knows. He would be the first one to tell you that running the football and the outside zone specifically within the run game is at the heart of his offense. And I think sometimes, he does get away from it within the game. Some of it is game strategy, and it depends if you're down. It depends the down and distance that you're in. Obviously, you have to call a game, but we've certainly seen situations where he could stick to the run where, hey, look, this one, they were down, but it was just one possession. It wasn't like, sometimes coaches, just because they're trailing, because the other team shows up on the scoreboard as having more points than you, all of a sudden they feel like, oh, we got to pass. And it's not like that. It's not like you're down 25 points like UM was to Cal, and now you're up against the wall. You need to hurry up every single possession to score in order just to keep yourself alive to make the comeback. A lot of games you could still run the football even when you're down one score, when you're down 10, because it's not like the game is out of reach. Stick to your true game plan, and I think Mike McDaniel, and especially when you're winning, then you really should go to the run more often, especially if it's going well. And sometimes he lets the defense dictate to him a lot more. I feel like he sees the look that he's getting, and then it's like an overthinking of, well, against that look, oh, I got to throw against that. Against this look, oh, now I got to run against this.
Right.
Almost like that's what worked to Pete Carroll's detriment at the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl. Instead of just giving it to Marshawn Lynch, even though the Patriots were stacked up against the run, he decided to get cute and have Russell Wilson throw it, and then you saw what happened. So sometimes it's not always the look. Sometimes you dictate to the defense and then force them to stop what you want to do.
Folks, if you're struggling from recovering from Helene or now Milton, if the insurance companies aren't living up to their responsibilities, which no shocker. In fact, if you did suffer any kind of damage, storm damage, water damage, please call Welt Rheaume. Call them before even the insurance company. They have their own adjusters. They'll go to your property, they'll assess everything, and then they will attack the insurance company for you. You'll never have to deal with the insurance company. The only thing you're going to do is pick up a check at the Welt Rheaume offices. That sounds like a pretty good plan right there. 954-966-4646. We've got Floridians all across the state calling Welt Rheaume if you need them, and if it's for bankruptcy, criminal defense, condo damage, homeowner property damage, commercial litigation, personal injury, my friends at Welt Rheaume can help you. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, they're hard at work right now helping a lot of customers. They can help you. 954-966-4646. David, what do you got going on so they can check you out at the South Florida Sun Sentinel?
Big O, I actually should have asked if Welt Rheaume could get me out of jury duty. I am on call this week, but for 2 weeks, a 2-week period. But every time I call in, they tell me I don't have to report today. So maybe the storm had something to do with it. But I guess I've gotten off lucky over the bye week.
I got lucky the last time. I got called last month, and
okay, yeah.
I got called last month, and I called for a couple of days, and then that's it. It said, nope, we don't need you. Be good. And
now watch. They don't bring me in during the bye week, and then now they're going to call me next week and have me come in when I got to cover this team before the Colts week. But we'll see. So I just wrote about the run game, which we discussed a lot. So good to see the Dolphins get the run game going here, going into the bye, how they need to continue to build on that. I'll be writing today about Tyus Bowser, a little introduction into the Dolphins' new pass rusher they brought in with Jim Phillips out, and Bradley Chubb still working his way back. So get to know him, someone who's familiar with this defense and was really a plug and play. I mean, he played a lot of snaps against the Patriots, and a guy who is familiar with Anthony Weaver from Baltimore. So he was in the same defense, Mike McDonald with Seattle. So good to see that. And I'll be writing that rookie progress report at the bye, check in on how Chop Robinson, Patrick Paul, Jalen right now with the game he had, all these rookies are doing at this point at their bye week in their first NFL season.
All right, there you go. And follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic weekend, and I hope you don't get picked for jury duty.
Thank you.
Got it. There you go. Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Hour 1 done. Hour 2 next. Manny Navarro kicks it off with our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes reports.
This is the Big O Show.